A very good evening and welcome to an At Our Place live special for you this evening. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're watching us now live on YouTube, a pleasure to have your company. Now, for an event like tonight where we have some questions, answers and debate the club that you all love so much, we'd be here at Vicarage Road, but of course 2020 has been challenging and strange year for all of us. I know everyone at the club, we can't wait to welcome you back here to the home at Vicarage Road as soon as we can safely do so. Lots of ways for you to get in touch tonight. We're of course going to be asking your questions. We're going to have some remote guests join us as well throughout the night. But you can do that by several ways. You can get involved on social media using the hashtag WFC@OurPlace. That's the hashtag. Or you can email dave.messenger@watfordfc.com. That is how you can get involved with us tonight and get your questions to put to our panel. So let's introduce you to the panel and who we've got here with us this evening. Pleased to say we've got Chairman and CEO Scott Duxbury with us and also our Head Coach Vladimir Ivić. Gentlemen, thank you so much for giving your time tonight. Pleasure to have you both here with us. Vladimir, let's start with you. 3 points on Friday, another good performance. You must be pleased with how everything's going at the moment.
Oh, yes, we did one tough game on Friday against Derby, away game. We did our job, we won the game, we take 3 points. Believe that we were a better team for this one goal, and the guys worked hard from the first until the last second of the game, and they deserve this victory.
And I think looking at the stats, it's 4 clean sheets in 5 games. Are you pleased with how your team are adapting to your philosophies and your message of how you want them to play?
Yes, it's the beginning of the championship. We did just 5 games. For sure, we have a lot of things to improve in our game. We work on it, and day by day, I believe that our performance will be better in the next games.
Scott, very strange and challenging times at the moment for everybody, the fans, the club, and obviously the whole world right now. But great, we can get together tonight and obviously answer the fans' questions directly like this.
It is, but it's a really challenging time for everybody, and I don't want to trivialise what's happening with the world, but it's just it's such a shame that we're not able to have spectators here, both at the games and for events like this, because football is truly missing the supporters. If there was any debate previously as to how important supporters were, then it's been well and truly answered now, because without supporters we don't have football.
Yeah, certainly right with that one. So plenty of ways for you to get in touch by now. You've seen the hashtag and you've seen the email address. So let's get straight into your questions tonight. And first of all, we've got a question which has come from Steve Waller, Chris Pinchin and John Uckhart have also asked this same question. It's for you, Scott. It says, on the 27th of July, as owner and CEO, you released a joint statement following the club's confirmed relegation to the Championships. Part of that statement read, "There are lessons to be learned. Our efforts surrounding the team were not good enough." Could you just elaborate on what you meant by that?
Clearly, relegation was a huge disappointment for everybody. I mean, last season was challenging on various elements, some out of our control. I think it was the first season of VAR, and there were various decisions that were puzzling, that really did adversely affect us. And of course, we had this awful pandemic. And to be in a relegation battle without our supporters, it's so difficult. I mean, you cannot underestimate the importance that the supporters have. And to have that perfect storm where we're underperforming, we don't have supporters, it was a very, very difficult season. But they're not excuses, they're facts. But within that, we did make mistakes. And as a technical department, they're evaluating them, and we will make sure that we don't make those mistakes again. I mean, I get it, I understand the frustration and the real disappointment of supporters, because I feel it. My little boy goes into school and they're saying, well, why did your daddy relegate Watford? That's not what we wanted to do, that's not our plan. And the only solace I have is to separate team performance from the development of the club. And the development of the club is something I'm extremely proud of. Even during this really difficult time with COVID, we stood up. We did the joint venture with the hospital, and we were pioneers with how we were going to help people. And the development of the club, the stadium, everything about us is still growing. And that gives me real comfort that in football you can have moments of success, you can have moments of failure, But as a football club, we are still growing and we're still moving in the right direction. Now, of course, we're here to win football matches and we'll do everything in our power to put that right. It's a shame relegation is so financially devastating. It should just be a competitive disadvantage. But we'll put it right, we'll work really hard, and we'll do everything we can to get back to the Premier League.
Perfect. Right, next question comes from Mike Smarton. It's a question we can address to both of you. And Vladimir, I'll address it to you first of all. Are you happy with the way that the transfer window has gone in terms of the quality and balance of the squad you now have?
I know from the beginning that this year will be different than previous about the squad. If I speak, we know that the club started this season with some financial problems, and they are introduced to me from the beginning that a lot of players who has been in previous year in the squad will not be in this year. And I understand that it's something normal in the football. It's something totally understanding. If you ask me if I'm satisfied, yes, I'm satisfied with the squad. Sure, we need maybe one or two positions, but it's sometimes we're looking for this position. We didn't find exactly this what we want, and we decided to stay with the squad, with the players what we have in this moment, and to work with them tough, to wait some of the players who will come back after some period of injury. And I'm sure that our spell will be every next game better and better.
Scott, from a board's perspective, are you happy with business? I guess a real benefit seeing Troy Deeney stay, a real talisman is still with the club. But from a board's perspective, are you happy with how the window went?
Yeah, completely. I mean, from the start, I said this window was always about keeping what we had. And importantly, there were certain financial issues we had to address with the transfer market, but it was also keeping players that wanted to be here, that wanted to be part of the fight. And it's really encouraging that players like Troy, like Sarr, they want to be here. They want to get the club back promoted. So keeping players like that was always far more important than what players we could actually bring in. And I'm really happy with the squad that we've managed to keep with the window finally closed. We can concentrate on football now, and the players that are here want to be here, want to help the team get promoted, and will be part of the fight.
That's an important message for the fans too. Of course, remember, keep your questions coming in on social media, also via email address as well. Vladimir, a question for you from Matt Kelly. Matt, thank you very much for your question. Now that the squad is finalised, the preferred formation and style of play, is that something that you're set upon now, and you're kind of happy with the formation, the style of play, or is that something that we might expect to see changing throughout the season?
During the season, we have to change some things for sure. My job is to work with the squad what we have in this moment, and to create the best system with the player what we have to win the game. Now, which system we can play a different system, and we change some system from the beginning until now with some small changing in front. But I believe that we have a squad who can play 2-3 different systems, and normally, when come back all the players, for me will be easier to change in the system. Sometimes if we need to do it, if we don't, we will continue to play with the system into. How Scott said before, that it's very important that we have players who want to be here. I said a lot of times this during the press conference in the past, and it's most important for one club to have the players who is happy to be here and who will give their best every day to do their job on the best way.
Perfect. Okay, we got our first virtual guest joining us now. So Scott, if you want to pop your earpiece in for us, we can say a very good evening to Simon Goodman. Simon, how are you? Can you hear us, Simon? I can see Simon on the screen. Simon, can you hear me? Hello, Simon. So we just okay. So Simon, we're going to try and see if we can get the link going. Your question, Simon, is around the lessons the club can learn from 2019 and 2020. We'll try and get Simon back if we can later on in the show. So you kind of touched on that already, the fact there are lessons to be learned. Could you maybe highlight just one of those two things, those lessons that you have learned and how they've changed already?
I think the lessons, I mean, as I said earlier, last season was a particularly challenging season, not least that the world suffering this awful pandemic and the stop-start nature of the season. And then to ask a team that I think was actually starting to play really good football, to play without the spectators, it really did hinder our chances to survive. But again, as I said, that's not an excuse. There clearly were mistakes, and I don't particularly want to go into them into detail, but we are aware of them. We are discussing them at a technical level, and there will be changes. But as I say, I personally think it's really important to separate the development of the club from a particular moment where the team isn't performing well. We're clearly all here to win football matches, but there will always be moments of success. There will always be moments of failure. But at least you can always look back and see the club growing, see the club prospering, our links to the community, everything we are as a football club. We're not stagnating, we're continuing to grow. So from a technical perspective, every day that department is meeting with Vlad, and we're going to make sure that we put little things that we did wrong right to make sure that we have the best platform to get back to the Premier League. But it's about winning football matches. It's about having a culture that is successful, whatever league we're in. And we've started the right way, I think.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Simon, for your question. Another one coming here. This one's come from Matt Kelly. Craig Melson has also asked a similar question. Sebastian Richards and Paul Holden as well. Thank you for your question. They say, can you explain how significantly the club has been financially impacted by COVID-19 and relegation, and how stable the club is going forward, Scott?
I think it's obvious that any business that doesn't have an income stream through being able to have supporters here is going to be affected. But for me, it's more of a philosophical question that it's just not football without supporters. I go to the games as one of the directors. It's not football, and we need supporters back. It's not about the financial necessity. It's what place does football have without supporters? And again, I said it earlier that if there's any consideration as to why do we need supporters, we have the TV game. They're vital. And it's not just the atmosphere at games, it's the daily interaction, events like today. We're operating in a vacuum without the most important people, and it sounds like you're just playing to the gallery, but it's true. And again, without being melodramatic, it's almost soul destroying going to games without supporters there, and something has to change quickly. I'm not in any way underestimating the importance of COVID and the health consequences and what we need to do, but I just hope at some point we find a solution, because football can't continue without supporters. No,
100%. Worst case scenario, there's no fans allowed back in the stadium between now and then under the season. I'm sure the fans would just love that little bit of reassurance that financially the club is stable and can get through this season in a comfortable position.
Absolutely. As I said to you, it's my job, and it's not just for Solace, to separate the team's performance, the team, from the club. And you can see from the stadium, you can see how we're developing, you can see what we're doing. We have a clear strategic plan for growth, and that will continue. It's just from a personal perspective, it becomes very challenging to keep growing the football club, to keep pushing forward when you don't have the supporters.
No, thank you for that. Matt, Craig, Sebastian and Paul, thank you very much for your question. We've got a question now from Ray Robinson. Ray, thank you very much for getting in touch. So this one is for you, Vladimir. Obviously, you've come into a club that has just been relegated. How's that been, obviously, in the present climate? You've not been able to meet the fans and see a full Vicarage Road as yet, but how is that for you from a manager's perspective?
To be honest, it's not easy when you come in the club who relegate, and normally this club is big club want to promote this year. A lot of things you need to do, a lot of speaking with the players, a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of practices. And this is my job, and not just mine, from my coaching staff. We work with them every day. It's important to change their view, because they had in the Premier League one goal to stay in the Premier League. Now the goal is totally different. Now it's the goal that you need to win game by game, and I think that we have a healthy group of the players which understand what we need to do this year, that our job is very, very tough, but I believe, and they believe, and we can just do it if we believe and if we work day by day for our goal.
Okay, Vladimir, thank you very much. Let's get another virtual guest. We've got Julie with us now. Julie Lewis, how are you doing, Julie?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Really good.
Great to have you here with us. Yeah, if you want to fire away with your question.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you first, along with everyone else, for holding this event this evening. Really appreciate it. But following relegation, there was a single statement from the club and then radio silence over the summer. And I just wondered, does the club acknowledge that? And what are the plans to keep us engaged as fans this season?
Okay, Scott.
I'm a little surprised, to be honest, that we're saying there was radio silence, because it's something that I do pride myself on, is the communication with the supporters. When we first came here nearly 8 years ago, I said, together we can achieve great things. If we're not together, then there will be issues. And I think, from a personal perspective, whether I've done actual interviews, it's an extremely busy time. It's a lot of transition from relegation to building a squad to get promoted. So maybe I haven't been front and centre, but I've always ensured that from a communication perspective, through all our channels, the website, social media, we've been at the forefront, even to the point that I was trying to explain which players weren't in the squad because they've handed in transfer requests and didn't want to be part of the project. Now, there aren't many football clubs that would be so open and so candid explaining why certain key first team players were not involved in the first team squad. So I have tried, clearly I've failed, I have tried to make sure that through all the channels that we've kept an open and honest communication, so all supporters understand what it is we're doing as a football club. And that's certainly part of my DNA, and certainly something that I will always continue to do. From a personal perspective, as I say, it's been an extremely busy period for me. So events like this I've not been able to do. I've not been able to do as much video time. But through the other social media channels and the website, I've certainly tried to make sure that we communicate effectively and directly with all supporters.
Okay, Julie, thank you very much for your question. Thank you for getting involved tonight. Remember, if you want to do that by now, you know the hashtag. Of course, you can see it on the big screen behind us. WFC at our place. Always good to hear your views. And of course, you can email those questions into us as well. dave.messenger@watfordfc.com. This is another question for you, Scott. This one's come from John Fowle. He says, have you now balanced the budget, or will there be more work to be done in January?
The budget never gets balanced. It's constantly evolving. We have new expectations, new ambitions, new growth with regards to the stadium. But financially, we're in a stable position, and our focus now the window is closed is purely on Vlad, the squad, and getting as many points as we possibly can. January will be a window that we react to with regards to what our needs are, if any. But we certainly don't have any pressing needs that we need to be balancing the books, other than the normal day-to-day operation of the football club.
Great to hear. Vladimir, a player who is still with the squad. Troy Deeney, of course, lots of fans happy to see him still with the squad. And we got a question from Michael, and Chris and John have also asked a similar question. How far are we off seeing Troy back fit? I think he was in training a little bit today, but how far until he's going to be back in the squad and competing?
Yeah, we try to do with him day by day hard work now to improve his physical condition, and I believe that in 2 weeks he will start to be part of the team, and it's again depends of his physical condition, and I hope that this injury what he has it's finished now, and he will work every day with us, and he will improve his condition as fast as possible to come to help us in our goal.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next question, this is for you, Scott. This comes from Greg Thieker. Greg, thank you for your question. When you see Sancho being valued at 100 million and the fact that he was snatched off us by City, only for them to trade him on a massive profit underlined by Arsenal taking forward from us this week, does the EPPP need to be rethought of? Super rich clubs like City are profiting massively from this, and they've done the same with players from others clubs. What can the EPPP, what it was designed to do?
It's challenging with these new rules for a smaller or middle tier football club to run an academy, quite frankly, because you develop the players, and when they show their true potential, that they can be of use, invariably that you are losing them to the bigger clubs, and the compensation mechanism in no way compensates for the development that you put into the player. So I do think it's a flawed system. I do think better protection is needed, particularly You know, for the smaller clubs, we should be getting all of the best players that are around Watford that are coming to this football club, and we should be confident and secure that we can develop them and they have the best pathway into first team football, not a system that is set up that as soon as they show their potential, we will lose them, and we will lose them with little compensation. So I'm not a great fan of it. We've suffered from it, you know, quite regularly and often with high profile players, and there needs to be an answer.
Thank you. Greg, hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Vladimir, a question for you now. Is the lack of a natural left-back preventing you employing the 4-3-3 system, which you've used most in your other roles? And is Messina closer to returning to action than initially feared?
Yes, to play this system, what I played before, it's you need to have one left-back who is his characteristic must be more defensive. In this moment, yes, Adam Messina is one of them. We stay without him after the first friendly game. It was the guy who started to work with us from the first day. Very positive man who worked very hard, and you know, he did surgery. I hope that he will be with us from the end of January, and until there we'll see now if we will do some movement or not in the January about this position. Yes, this is one position what we're looking for, and what we looked in the previous times, in the previous period.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've got another virtual guest now. I'm pleased to say tonight as well, we're joined by some of our members of our junior Hornets as well. So it's great to have a whole spectrum of fans involved in this evening's show. So thank you so much for getting involved with that. And we can say hello to Isla next. Isla, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. What's your question this evening?
My question's for the manager, and it's, would you ever go to watch the Watford ladies play, and will they ever be able to have a game in the stadium?
Well, I think that's a very good question, Isla. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to convey that now to the head coach, Vladimir. Isla's question, Vladimir, is to you. And she's obviously a young, very keen footballer. And she said, would you be keen on going to watch Watford women play this season? Of course, they've kick-started their campaign.
Yes, why not? It will be my pleasure to watch the game of the Watford FC women. First time when I will find the time to see the game, I will come to watch.
Amazing. Isla, I hope that answers your question. And Scott, just to follow up on something she said as well, is you know, obviously it's quite difficult at the moment with the current restrictions with COVID that we're facing, but potential in the future to see Watford women play here at Vicarage Road?
Yeah, absolutely. That's always been the objective, that we unify the two teams and they play here, absolutely. But again, we need supporters backing the both teams, so hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
Yes, I do. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your answers so far. We're just going to take a quick little bit break and we'll be back very shortly.
For their embattled beleaguered manager, it feels like this could be last chance saloon as the new year looms ahead.
The pressure is on.
Les enjeux ne peuvent pas être plus importants. Der Trainer sieht sehr verärgert aus.
Surely they won't slip up here tonight.
Quel but!
Of course, your chance to see Watford in action once again this Wednesday. We're taking on Blackburn Rovers. Kickoff is at 7:45. Make sure you get your matchday pass to join us. We've got a very special guest on the show as well, which I'm going to reveal a little bit later on in this evening's show. Make sure you get your pass. Go to watfordfc.com/Hive Live. Well, a pleasure to have your company here with us this evening. Time now to have another virtual guest with us tonight. Another one of our junior Hornets that's joining the show this evening. And we can say hello to Roberto. Roberto, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Roberto. Fire away with your question.
Good evening, Vladimir. Well done on your great start. My question is, what did you learn from your time at Maccabi Tel Aviv that will help you at Watford?
Okay, great question. This one's for you, Vladimir. Congratulating you on a good start to the season so far. And he said, what have you learned at your previous club, Maccabi Tel Aviv, that will assist you and help you here at Watford?
I learned a lot from Maccabi Tel Aviv. It was my first job away of Greece, because I finished my football career and I start to work like coach in Greece. And you know, it's when you move first time abroad, for sure you have a lot of things to learn. And I had a good 2 years in the Maccabi, and you know, it's a big club with a one goal every year, that they want to take the championship. They want to play in the European competition, and this experience there, it's mean a lot for me, and I take a good things from Israel and from Maccabi Tel Aviv. Yes.
Awesome, thank you very much, and thank you very much for your question, Roberto, as well. Scott, one for you. This one comes from Tim Whitehouse, Paul Holden, and John O'Shea's asked this one. To help put things in perspective, if COVID continues to mean that fans don't attend for the whole season, how much will relegation and COVID have cost the club?
Again, it's not so much a financial consideration. That's something we can manage. We have business plans. We react to all circumstances, including this awful pandemic. It is a bigger philosophical question. It's, you know, how long can we continue to operate without supporters? So financially, we will always find a solution. You know, we are running an effective football club, and we will always continue to grow. But without supporters, you ask the question why, and so we have to get supporters back. Not in any way, I repeat, diminishing the significance of COVID, but there has to be a safe way to get supporters back, because without them, there really isn't any football.
It seems like it's a lesson that the club has learned massively, and I think the club maybe always understood this, that the importance of the fans. I think it's something that in the Premier League, a lot of Premier League clubs could be said that they don't appreciate the fans or not. Do you think this will change other clubs in the Championship and in the Premier League's view towards the fans?
I don't know about other clubs, but again, I've said from day one, and it hasn't just been rhetoric, that together we will achieve great things. And I think as a football club, and maybe we're different than other football clubs, we have been together for 8 years. We've had difficult patches, but we've always been together, and we've always been driving the football club forward. And to lose that partner, I don't want to sound melodramatic, but to lose that partner, it's really difficult. And it feels like we're operating in isolation, and the players feel it. And we need the supporters back, because without them, it's nothing.
Completely. Hopefully it won't be too long till we'll welcome you all back here, as we've said earlier in the show. Vladimir, a question for you. This one comes from James Batchelor. He says, what are your ambitions at Watford? How long do you see yourself here for the long term?
Yes, I'm a positive man who came here to stay, to work, to do his job on the best way. And you know how is the situation with the manager. It's really depends on our results. And I'm happy here. I'm in one big club. I have support from the people around me, and we work all together. All of us have one goal in this season. I can tell 2 goals. First goal is to promote, and second goal is to put the new players, the new young guys who can be part of this project, and who can show themselves in the championship. And normally everything is now depends of the philosophy of the way how we work, and you know, this is the process. We start to create some good things from the beginning, and you know, we need to continue.
And I think that's important. An earlier question was, have we learned lessons? And Vlad touched on it there, that we sort of lost a little bit of our DNA, which is the younger players, bringing them through, developing them, trusting them. And with Vlad, we're doing that again now. And I think we lost a little bit of our way with that. And it's really encouraging to see the younger players now coming through, playing and being part of the cause. And I think that is one of the lessons that we learned from the mistakes we made.
And do those answers lead nicely on to our next question, which has come from Matt Kelly. Matt says to Vladimir, what have you been most impressed with players-wise since joining Watford? Are there a couple of players that you've been really impressed with, some younger players that we're going to see maybe this season later on?
A lot of them I know from previous years. A lot of them have a big experience in the Premier League, and a lot of them I met first time here. And you know, when we start to work, our first 10 days, 2 weeks, it was just 10 players because of the COVID situation, because of some injured of the players, and we had in this period 3-4 young guys like Jeremy Nyakia, like Domingos Quina, like Tom Derabishiru, and the rest of other experienced players, but they show me that they have quality, they want to work, they want to be part of this project, and it's a good for the club to have young players who is with their mind full focus here in our job and which want to improve themselves day by day.
Question from Chris says, this one for you, Scott. How would you describe the POSO model for running the club, and how has it changed in the years since Watford was purchased? And what is the club's priority this year, survival or promotion?
I think I touched on a bit there. The model was always to have a really good, effective scouting network and bring young players in and develop them, both from a technical perspective and a commercial perspective, sell at the right time. I think over the past couple of years we maybe lost our way a little bit, and we weren't bringing in the young players, and we certainly weren't developing them, or we had the young players and we were blocking their pathway. So I think we're going back to our core DNA, which can only be beneficial for us. As regards to what our objectives are, our objectives are to win every football match that we can. I think we have a squad that's good enough for promotion. We certainly have the ambition, we have the infrastructure, and I touched upon earlier, we have a club that's separate from the team, that's growing, that is rooted in the community, that is close to the supporters. So I think with all of those ingredients, we have as good a chance as any football club to get promoted, and certainly that's everybody's ambition, and that's what we're all working for.
Mm-hmm. Vladimir, a question for you. This one's from Jamie, who's another one of our junior Hornets supporters. Obviously, we've seen some exciting football in all the leagues in the last few weeks and days. Would you rather win 1-0 or 4-3?
1-0.
1-0.
Yes.
Clean sheet, nice and easy. Love that. Great answer for that one. And another one for you, Vladimir. This comes from Craig Nelson. Says, what's the situation with Glenn Murray, given you'll have Troy Deeney and Andre Gay? They've stayed at the club as well. I'm guessing that adds to your armoury of what you've got going forward.
Glenn Murray, he joined us this year, and he's one of experienced player who can give us a lot. Normally he's the guy who is positive, who work every day, and I'm the coach who want to give time for all these players. Now it depends on them. They need to show their ability, their quality, and to give their best every day. Try to keep their position in the first 11, and they are there. But with this program, what we have, all of them will play, and all of them will have a time to show their quality.
Perfect, thank you very much. Time now for another remote guest, and please say another couple of our younger fans joining us as well. We've got Dylan and Ollie on the line with us. Boys, how are you doing? Good. What's your questions?
Now that the transfer window is closed, do you think that our squad is strong enough for an instant return to the Prem?
Okay, and if is it 2 questions or just the one?
2 questions.
Go on, what's the second one?
Is it hard for the team to train with all the coronavirus rules, like 2 meters and stuff like that?
Okay, great questions. What I'll do is I'll put your first one to Scott, and I'll put the second one to Vladimir for you. So Scott, the first one, the transfer window's obviously closed. We've just been talking there about promotion and wanting to go up and bring those players through. I think Vladimir's touched on it a little bit as well. Are you pleased the squad's strong enough to push for that promotion this year?
Absolutely. It was about keeping what we had. I think it's the mentality as well. If you're around the training ground now, there's players that want to be there. There's players that want to fight. There's players that are enjoying playing football. So we absolutely have everything that we need to get promoted. And listen, there are many ingredients that you need to get promoted, but it won't be through lack of hard work and dedication and commitment. So I think we have every possible chance, and we certainly will do everything in our power to achieve it.
And the second question we had from Dylan and Ollie was, I'll give this one to you, Vladimir. How's training been? Is it hard to train with the COVID restrictions and bits and pieces around the ground?
It's different. It's not usually something, but not for us, not for no one who work in the football, who work in the sport generally. A lot of different conditions is now around us. We need to take care about a lot of things. Don't have contact with a lot of people. A lot of tests we did in last 2 months, and this is something normal. I think we need first of all take care about our health, about health for all of us, and this period is not easy for no one. I'm sure that in the other business the people have problems. We try to take care about all these rules, what we have, and what is important to keep in our training ground, in the hotel where we stayed, in the stadium here when we are here. You know, a lot of people take care about us, and I think that we did until now this what the medical team asking for us.
Perfect. Dylan and Ollie, thank you so much for your question. Of course, keep yours coming in as well. You can use that hashtag, the WFC at our place. And of course, if you want to send those emails to us as well, dave.messenger@watfordfc.com. A question for you, Scott. This comes from Simon Michelson. What are your thoughts on the project Big Picture? Obviously, there's been a vote on that now. But what steps do you think need to be taken to secure the long-term viability of the football pyramid?
It all goes back to what I've consistently said, is that relegation should be a competitive disappointment, not a financial disaster. I'm not sure whether Project Big Picture is the answer to that, but there needs to be a dialogue, there needs to be an active debate, because the financial disparity between the Premier League and the Championship is just too much, and it's making relegation no longer just a competitive disappointment. It can ruin football clubs, it can mean people lose their jobs, and somehow there needs to be a recognition that the football pyramid needs to work in harmony, not just the Premier League working in its own. So I welcome the debate that Project Big Picture produces, and I hope it continues, but I'm not sure that's the solution. There needs to be further thought as to how we find a resolution to the absolute huge disparity between the leagues.
Okay, thank you very much. Hopefully these answers are what you're after tonight. It's a pleasure to have our two guests here with us tonight who are asking your questions directly this evening. Let's go to another remote guest now. We've got Joe Etchells with us. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening.
Good to have you with us. Yeah, I can hear you. Who's your question for, and fire away?
Yeah, it's for Scott. Obviously, since the plans for the new stadium were announced, we've obviously had the disappointment of relegation and obviously the coronavirus pandemic, but we haven't really heard anything since. So I just wondered if plans for that were still ongoing, and do you worry that we don't have the fan base to fill a bigger stadium?
It's not so much I worry about whether there's a fan base to fill the stadium. I've always been happy with Vicarage Road. I think it's a great stadium, and we'll continue to develop it. If commercially it made sense to move stadium, and not just an ego move because the infrastructure was better, access for supporters was better, then we would explore it. And that dialogue is still continuing. Clearly in this current climate, it seems to be a discussion that is in a little bit of a void. We can't have supporters, but from a business perspective, the discussions are still continuing, and if it makes sense for the supporters, for the club, then we will advance them. But it's not something I'm actively driving that it has to happen, because I'm really pleased with the development of Vicarage Road, and in tandem to new stadium discussions, we're also having discussions with the council about how we can extend and develop Vicarage Road. So we will have both discussions, and we'll do what's best for the football club. But it's not something I'm passionately insistent on leaving, but if it makes sense and everything works, then of course it's something we would consider.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much for your question. We're going to take another quick break again right now. We'll be back after this.
For their embattled beleaguered manager, it feels like this could be last chance saloon as the new year looms ahead.
The pressure is on.
Les enjeux ne peuvent pas être plus importants. Der Trainer sieht sehr verärgert aus.
Surely they won't slip up here tonight.
Quel but!
course, don't forget to join us Wednesday evening. We're taking on Blackburn Rovers here at Vicarage Road. You can join us from 7:45. We're on air from 7 o'clock. Make sure you get your matchday pass by going to watfordfc.com/Hive Live. Well, thank you very much for joining us for a very special At Our Place this evening. Pleasure to have your thoughts and views coming in. Remember, you can get involved by social media using that hashtag of WFC at Our Place, or you can email dave.messenger@watfordfc.com. Plenty more questions to come your way this evening. Let's next say hello to Al, who is tuned in tonight. And this one's for you, Scott. Why do you think that so many young talents fail to develop at the club? A lot of money was invested into Success, Sinclair and others.
It can happen. I mean, it's part of a scouting network. Some players work, some players don't. I don't think it's particularly helpful to focus on which players perhaps didn't make it. There's a number of reasons why. We can also list a number of young players that did succeed and did make it. It's a very difficult progress from a young player to becoming an established first team player. So I think with the infrastructure we have at the training ground and the resources we put in place, it's one of the best environments for young players to succeed. So I'm not sure focusing on certain players that hadn't make it is the right way, because there are many players that have made it. And again, I think we have the setup where young players will thrive and have the best pathway into first team football, and that's why we've managed to recruit certain players from perceived bigger clubs that have come to us because they see a pathway to first team football, and I think that's a really important advantage for us.
Another question linked to recruitment. This one comes from Matt Timberlake again, directed to you, Scott. Why is it only now that the club has an abundance of centre-backs when it's been obvious for 3 years that the recruitment need to focus in that direction? Is Troost-Ekong the answer now? Why not earlier?
Again, it's focusing on an individual. We've had a number of good centre-backs. I mean, at the moment, our centre-backs of Cathcart, of Cabaselli, they've always been with us, and we've had other centre-backs who have performed admirably, but they've moved on and we've recruited. So I don't think it's necessarily, again, the correct to focus on individuals. We know defensively we need to be strong, and every season we've always recruited in the best interest, believing we've got the players that can perform at that level. Some have worked out better than others. It's great that we've started so well, but again, last season we recruited and bought centre backs, and I don't think it's fair to particularly personalise those that have been successful and those that haven't.
Okay, fair enough. Next question for you, Vladimir. This comes from Will Annitz. Says, what have been the main challenges and priorities in getting a squad ready for football in the Championship?
Main challenges in our squad is to have the squad who can win every game, who can fight for victory every 3 days. How is our program now? Something what is not easy, something what you need to do with them, to work with them, to speak with them, to create this mentality where all of them will have just one goal before the game. Our goal is to win the game, and I said it's not easy for no one, but my player knows what I ask from them. They give their maximum every day, and I said we need to improve our game. We have to improve our game of the both way, and we try to do it day by day.
Thank you very much. Another question for you, Scott. This one comes from Mike Duran and Stephen Jarrett. They said, what is the Pozo long-term commitment to the club?
It's the same commitment that we said at day one, which is a long-term commitment. Gino moved over to England, I think the second year of ownership. His children go to school here. This is his home, this is his football club, and he is extremely committed and proud of this football club, and we all want to get back to the Premier League as soon as we can. So just because we've been relegated doesn't diminish his ownership, doesn't diminish his commitment. On the contrary, I think it makes it stronger. It makes he wants to prove everybody that we are a great football club and we deserve to be in the Premier League. So nothing will derail Gino's commitment.
Perfect. I'm sure the fans will be very pleased to hear that. Let's get to another remote guest. We can say hello to another young fan. We've got Kazim with us now. Kazim, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Are you okay?
I'm very well, thank you. Great to have you with us this evening. What's your question?
So my question for Vlad is, who's the most talented player you have ever coached, and why?
Okay. The question is for you, Vladimir, from Kazim, and he says, who is the best player you've ever coached and worked with?
All players who work today with me.
Good answer.
That's a good answer, Kazim. Thank you very much. Good to have you on the show with us this evening. Martin Goodman's got a question, and he says, what is the rationale behind our transfer policy? For example, we seem to do a lot of business very late in the window as opposed to the beginning. We seem to set ourselves on the back foot by not allowing the team to be formed and gel before the season starts.
No, it's just the way. If you look at the transfer window in general and you look at a club's business, I don't know why the transfer window is open for as long as it is, because clubs seem to wait until the final few weeks, if not days, of the transfer window. So that's certainly not our strategy. We sit down, we identify players, and if we can close them early, we do. And generally we have done. Maybe high-profile signings like Sarr take a little bit longer, a little more negotiation, and it appears that it's going towards the end of the window. But usually we like and try to do our business early for the exact same reason. We want them in the building, we want them to be embedded and ready for the season. So it's certainly not a strategy that we leave it towards the end of the window.
Mm-hmm. Vladimir, here's a question for you. This is something that we like to debate lots over here in the United Kingdom, and I'm sure, of course, in your home country as well, it's a topic you like to discuss. Refereeing. The questions come from Samuel Walter. Thank you very much for your question, Samuel. It says, Vladimir, what do you make of the refereeing in the Championship?
No, I cannot tell something against refereeing. I'm sure that all of them try to do the best what they can. Normally sometimes they will do mistake, but I'm sure that this mistake is not because they want to do it. And sometimes these mistakes cannot be good for us, and sometimes we are nervous because of this mistake, and this is totally normal and natural. But I'm sure that they try to do their best, and they want to do their best, and And I work for sure, and I did some mistakes, and I will do some mistakes, but must be human and must try to help them.
Well, the good news is you haven't got a battle with VAR this season. That's a treat being waited for you. Fingers crossed for next season. Scott, a question from Tim Whitehouse for you says, do you have disciplinary clauses that you will enforce against players who refuse to play for the club?
I think that's more for Vlad to...
Yeah, so Tim's question is, do you have disciplinary clauses? So if a player, for example, doesn't want to play, is there a disciplinary procedure in place for that?
For sure, it's to have this rules. It's totally normal in one club. That means all of us work for the Watford FC. We are professional people. This is our job, and it's very important in one team to have rules, to have discipline, because we spend a lot of time all together after our family. This is our second family, and when you have a big goal, how we have this season, without the rules, it's impossible to achieve it. And I'm sure that all the people in the club, together with the players, they understand it, and we are put some new rules. The club is on the best way this, and you can succeed just if you have a rules, and if you work day by day, 100%.
Okay, let's have another virtual guest. So we're going to try and bring back Simon. We tried to join you right at the very top of the show, Simon. There's a few technical problems. Fingers crossed they're fixed now. Simon Goodman, are you there?
Hi there, yeah.
Good.
Thanks for reaching out.
No worries.
Just a question really for Scott. Is there an intention to utilise the Udinese links further and to possibly expand the footprint of other clubs across Europe to bolster the club's success?
It's not so much expand the link with Udinese. Everything we do is really with regards to just maximising the economies of scale of the two clubs. So everything is done independently, but if we can do scouting together, then it becomes far more economical. And so there's certain activities that, with regards to the worldwide scouting, that we can do together. And equally, with regards to players, it's not so much the link with Udinese, because it's the agents that will always dictate whether a player will leave. But clearly, we understand whether certain players are wanting to leave Udinese, and there could be an opportunity then for ourselves, and vice versa with Watford. But it's no more than understanding at an early stage if there is an opportunity, but then it's down to the agents and it's down to the players. So we have no more advantage when it comes to those negotiations, other than, as I say, we can perhaps get in early and understand which players may be receptive to a move. As regards to maybe other associations with other clubs, I think our scouting network works well without the collaboration of other football clubs, and it's hard enough focusing on Watford and growing Watford without increasing that network. So I think our resources and our effort and our time will be more placed upon the scouting network than in perhaps a collaboration with another football club.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers so far, gentlemen. We're going to take a final quick break before we have our final questions.
For their embattled beleaguered manager, it feels like this could be last chance saloon as the new year looms ahead.
The pressure is on. Les enjeux ne peuvent pas être plus importants. Der Trainer sieht sehr verärgert aus.
Surely they won't slip up here tonight.
Quel but!
Well, of course, there's action here at Vicarage Road on Wednesday evening. We're on air live from 7 o'clock for another edition of Hive Live. Make sure you get your passes in good time. watfordfc.com/Hive Live. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss this one, because Emma Saunders will be here for that. Martin Taylor joins as well. But we're pleased to say that club captain Troy Deeney will be on Hive Live this Wednesday. So get your passes for that. You do not want to miss that as Watford take on Blackburn Rovers. Right, let's get stuck into some more of your questions for the final part of tonight's show. Scott, this one is for you. We were told that Troost-Ekong and people like Swires were the future, but they end up being sold without playing for us. Why is that?
Without going into specifics for individuals, and a purely general, unrelated observation is we only want players that want to be here. We only want players that are committed to playing for this football club and getting us promoted. If players are not committed and don't want to be here, then they leave.
Okay. Question that links into that as well that's come in, this one comes from Steve, says, does the fact that players are usually given considerably longer contracts than a head coach or manager undermine that coach's authority?
I think Vlad's probably best to answer that one.
You know, now it's a question, I think it's a question for for the squad, because, you know, no, I came here, you know.
I don't think so, because ultimately players, regardless of the contract, want to play football. The coach picks the players, and so the coach has that degree of power, because if a player wants to be here, wants to play, that's exactly why they're here. So I don't think the length of contract in any way undermines the coach. If the coach, like Vlad, has a strong presence, has strong discipline, has strong rules, has a strong ethos, then everybody just fits in line regardless of what the contractual length is.
A funny one that's come in now. I'm not sure how much we can do about this one, Scott, but it's worth, as we've said, your questions come in tonight. We're going to share them. Can the club do anything about the gentleman who sits behind me for about 15 years, who shouts "No, not there" every time a defender plays a short pass out from the back, rather than clouting the ball as far up the pitch as he can.
Well, I think the current situation solved that. So there appears to be one positive from this situation. But as soon as we're all back, yeah, I'll fix that.
Perfect. There we go. It's going to be fixed for you. Vladimir, I suppose that's an interesting point, isn't it? Have you noticed that from a playing perspective of that pressure on the players when you have fans in a stadium and when you don't?
For sure, it's the best to have fun close to us, and how Scott said before, that without fun it's nothing. You know, it's a totally different sport. You know, it's not the same. But if they have the pressure or not, I believe that the young players, when they start to play, they have some kind of the pressure, and this is totally normal. But we need to speak with them. We need to explain them that they need to be just to the pitch with their 10 players, and to be focused on the every details of the game. With this, they can put this pressure of the fans away, and they can give their best. You know, it's different of the character of the players. You know, you have some of the players who is 18, 19 years old and who start to play without some kind of the pressure of the fans, and you have some other players who have this kind of the pressure until the end of the career. Mm-hmm. It's depends on the character of them, but normally you can improve it. You can work with them and to improve this pressure to don't be.
Okay.
To don't have.
Scott, a question for you next. This comes from Carl Story and David Berry. They wanted to know why there's been no announcement on Mariappa's future. Now the window's closed, are we able to confirm anything? After all, he's been a great servant to the club.
Yeah, completely. And you know, it's probably a huge mistake by me, the club, for not doing an announcement and recognising Maps. I mean, in defence, there was a long negotiation to try and find an arrangement that Maps could stay, which went on for some time. But absolutely, we should recognise that, you know, the service Maps did. He'll always be welcome here. We weren't able to reach an agreement for him to continue. Wish him nothing but success. He'll always be welcome back here, and it's an absolute mistake not to at the end of those negotiations communicate with the supporters and explain what's happening. So hopefully tonight puts that right. But Maps will always be welcome here, and he's been nothing but a fantastic player for the club, and just a really nice guy as well. So he'll always be welcome back at Vicarage Road.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for clarifying that one. Right, let's go to our final virtual guest of this evening. We can say good evening to Ross Thompson. Good evening, Ross.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. Who's your question for, and fire away?
Scott, if I may. Watford fans have been very supportive of the Pozzo regime and what they've achieved over 8 years. But the first real disagreement was over the sacking of Nigel Pearson. It has never been explained. What is the truth about what actually happened?
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank him for the support of the Pozzos, and I'd like to think over the past 8 years that we've had a trust between ourselves and the supporters. I've always tried to communicate and to explain, even after the removal of Billy McKinley. I had a fans forum the day after to try and explain. It's not right or appropriate that I go into any detail with regards to Nigel. I understand the fans' concern, I understand the fans' bemusement, but all I would ask is that you trust that what we do is always in the best interest of the football club. We don't do anything trivial, we don't do anything that in any way would jeopardise this football club. As I say, I can't go into any further detail now, but please just believe that the decision wasn't taken lightly, and everything we do is always in the best interest of this football club.
Scott, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Ross, for your question as well. So just a couple of closing thoughts. There's one final question here that I'd like to ask Vladimir. This has come from at Watford Focus Online. Thank you very much for your tweet tonight. It says, what's Vlad's favourite Elton John song?
A lot of songs.
All of them. That's the right answer. All of them.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. And just finally from you, Vladimir, Blackburn Rovers on Wednesday night, just your thoughts going into that one.
Yes, we have to face one good team who start very well this championship. A lot of good players, good manager, and we have a tough game in front of us. We are preparing this game in the last days, and we have 1 day more, and to give our best to win this game.
Well, best of luck for Wednesday night. We look forward to watching it on Hive Live. And Scott, just finally for you, is there just a final sentiment or message you'd like to give to the fans just to wrap us up tonight?
Well, first of all, my son Maxwell should be going to bed now because he stayed up to watch this. So tell him to go to bed.
Bedtime, Maxwell.
Thank you. As regards to the supporters, it's been a challenging time. It's been a challenging time away from football. Football is always the best release, and it's really difficult that we can't be together. We can't be just working for promotion. There's been situations throughout the 8 years we've been here that I know have been challenging for the supporters, but I repeat, if we can all stay together, then we will achieve great things. Everything we do is in the best interest to grow this football club and to make the supporters proud. We don't want them ever to feel humiliated, to feel that we're not doing what's best for the football club. So hopefully we can stay together, because we still have many, many more years of success ahead of us, and this will be a really good campaign, and we'll do everything in our power to get promoted. But let's just focus on the club. The club is something we can be proud of. During the COVID, everybody was just saying how wonderful we were, how we reacted with the local hospital. That's what makes Watford Football Club. We'll sort what happens on the pitch, and we'll start winning football matches, but be proud of the football club, because everything we are is what is for the supporters. We'll soon be back together, and then we can continue on our journey together.
Scott, Vladimir, thank you very much. Pleasure to have your company here this evening. Thank you very much for giving your time and addressing the questions from the fans tonight. Thank you very much to you as well for watching at home. I do hope that you felt that tonight's questions were addressed and answered, and we really do appreciate you taking the time, not only to join in tonight, but send in your questions and your continued support of the club. And talking of that continued support, make sure you join us on Wednesday evening. We've been talking about it a little bit this evening. We just got Vladimir's thoughts there. Watford versus Blackburn Rovers. We kick off at 7:45. We're on air from 7 p.m. Don't miss it. Emma Saunders is going to be joined by Martin Taylor. Tommy Mooney's going to be here, of course, on commentary as well. But we are joined by club captain Troy Deeney. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you join us. So once again, thank you so much for joining us at our place this evening. Pleasure to have your company. We can't wait to welcome you back to Vicarage Road very, very soon. Stay safe, look after each other, and we'll see you soon.